Okay, so I'm going to try this again. Rich is taken to answering some questions, which I appreciate. You know, he must not be watching fully before he makes a statement under my videos. You know, recently he said he'd like to see my proof that Angel Rickles is a fraud, and even though her fraud charges are posted in the video that he put under, she's a fraud and a drug addict. I asked him, because he continues to say that Basha had a lot of mental problems, that she was a drug addict, and that she turned on Darlie, but he never presents any proof of this. You know, again, I say that when Basha was introduced with the subpoena from the courts, that she had to testify, she couldn't, you know, she had to tell the truth. And she didn't lie on the stand, like Darren did. Granted, she didn't volunteer any information that she told me. She didn't volunteer any information because she still had love for Darlie. So I'd like to know more about where she got her mental health treatment from. I'd like to know what her psychiatric issues were. I'd like to know about her drug convictions, because I could show you Angela Rickles. So we can't just do that. Okay, Rich, now, this is what I want you to understand. And I'm not picking on you. I'm not. But you're telling thousands of people that Darlie Routier is innocent. Darlie this and Darlie that. And Darlie. You're standing up for a convicted child killer. Yeah, which I am the father of a convicted child killer, and you won't see me doing that. Alright? Because I accept what the courts say. I don't make up little stuff about, you know, Joe Blow down the street here, and I don't do that. He's guilty, he deserves what he got. Period. The one thing that I want to hold you accountable for is that in my video, Darlie Routier now announces Rich Prater as a private investigator. Right? I've got posts where you tell people that you're a private investigator. I've got clips of you saying that you worked with some of the world's best investigators. I've got clips of you saying that you and your team actually were able to identify. You said, this is how I got into fingerprints. All right? You're saying that you actually were able to find 14 points on the Mac Wallace, which is a whole different thing. You came back and said, no, I said that as the conspirators. No. I know what you said. I know what you said. You said you and your team found that print. And I put up who found it. You don't know that person. But do you think it's fair? I want you to ask yourself this question. And I'm not picking on you. If I came out here and I said, well, Darlie's guilty because I'm a private investigator and I've worked with the world's best investigators, and I can tell you that all the evidence against her is 100% correct. That would be a bullshit statement for me. And that's not fair to Darlie. It's not fair to her family. It's not fair to the boys in the ground. When Danelle announces you as a private investigator, it's not fair to her subs. It's not fair to your subs to say that. And he said you worked with some of the world's best investigators. Rich, one thing that you do, it tells me that you've never worked as a private investigator, is, you know, just your behavior, is you tell too much. You tell too much. Private investigators would never say, well, we have this evidence, but we can't talk about it right now. They just wouldn't talk about it. You know, I've heard there were people before you. There were people before you that were saying the same thing. David Moffat, Patrick King, David Kirkpatrick, all people that were close to Darlie Key. And she would tell us to sit. She'd say, well, this right here, and this right here, and this right here. Well, shh, don't say anything. She's been doing that for years, Rich. So when you say that you have this information, but you can't say anything right now because it might jeopardize that information, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That fact, if you have these facts that are going to help Darlie, They're going to remain facts no matter you tell them or not. It's a bad habit that you have. It makes people find you, some people find you not credible. But this is what I want you to, now remember, Danelle has been preaching for the longest time that James Cron is not a CSI, he's just a consultant, he doesn't have a background, he's only a fingerprint expert, and I put out James Cron's credentials. Not only was he a CSI, he was the commander of crime scene investigations. He had, 2,300 crime scenes, and 4,300 of them with bodies. I put up a video a couple days ago asking you about your credentials, because you claim them. You claim them, and we're all waiting for you to respond to that, and I kept telling people, he's not going to respond to that. He's not. If your answer is, well, I don't have to prove anything to you, yes, you do. You have to prove it to all the people who really think that you're a private investigator and that Darlie's innocent. It's not fair. It's not fair to Devin and Damien. It's very disrespectful. So I'll have to put this video up again. I had some sound issues on the other one. This is what's not fair, Richie. It's not. This is a lie. And Danelle doesn't like to be called a liar. She tried to change the word superficial. She tried to change that. If she's going to defend Darlie, she needs to defend it with the truth. Those wounds were medically superficial, meaning not deep, according to what the medical staff who worked on Darlie said. Superficial doesn't mean the location of the wound. It doesn't. Even Patrick Dillon said, well, he's using that word the wrong way, because that's not what it means. It means a minor wound. But anyways, let's listen to this.
We really like it when people from our groups, they'll grab these videos, because I have never clicked on to Danelle's TikTok. I've never done it. Not interested in clicking on it, and I'm not interested in leaving comments to her under it. But this bullshit, this is going to crack you guys up. She claims that James Cron is not an investigator. He's not a CSI, when he's got all the credentials in the world to prove that he is. He gets consulted by lots of police, to come in and investigate crimes. She says he's not a crime scene investigator. But listen to this fucking shit here.
Hi friends, Darlie Supporter's baby sister here. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. I am going to be doing a podcast/YouTube live with my friend Prater. He's a private investigator.
He is not a private investigator, you fucking liar.
See, she hates to be called a liar, but she continuously does stuff like that. Why would she say that you're a private investigator when you're not? The simple question for you, Rich, is a yes or no question. Are you a licensed private investigator? Is Danelle lying here? Because I'm going to keep pressing you about this. If I was a private investigator and I told people I was a private investigator and I was into true crime, I would be expected that people want to know my credentials. Like I said, I put that other video up a little while ago, a couple days ago, and you've answered questions before that video and after that video, but you didn't touch that one, which is what supporters do. If they're faced with something that they can't answer or they know they'll get caught in something that is untruthful, they just ignore it. You ignore things, or they'll try and mush fake around it. I know what you said about the Mac Walls print. I've got you recorded saying that your team, we were able to. And you say, oh no, I just meant that Darlie JFK conspiracy theorists. No, that's not what you meant, and that's not the way you presented it. You're not truthful, Rich. So, your job as a Darlie supporter with a platform where people come to is to convince other people that Darlie is innocent. And you're not doing that. You're convincing other people that you're full of shit. All right? Honestly, don't take me as being rude. I'm just being forthcoming with you. It seems to me like you're infatuated with Darlie. Right? And if you was ever to leave support and say, all right, I've seen the light, and I think Darlie's guilty now, the first thing they're going to do is say you had a crush on her. It's because that's what they did to me. And you asked Darlie yourself if I ever wrote her. Her mother said publicly that I was writing Darlie love letters, and I had you ask her yourself, did I ever do that? And she told you no, and she told Richard Wright no, and she told Darren Gross no, that I never did. And I even presented a letter I posted. I can dig them out. But, you know, when a guy is trying to put the moves on a female, no matter if she's locked up or not, they generally don't speak about their wife and kids. I mean, that's just the thing. And Darlie's saying, you know, best wishes to your kids, tell Nicole I said hello, blah, blah, blah. I really think that you should answer this. If you refuse to, then we have our answer. I challenge you to show the facts that you are a licensed private investigator, some of the cases that you've worked, some of the money that you've made, some of the things that you've done, your 3 years of experience. Just like when Sully said that she was a expert in a criminal case that included a gunshot wound. When I called her on that, she said, well, I don't want to get doxxed. Well, she's been doxxed. We all know who she is and where she's at now. Because she's lying. And we're holding her accountable for that lying. You notice that those people, like Danelle doesn't come to my channel anymore, Sully doesn't come to my channel anymore, Mystery Maverick doesn't come to my channel. They you know why they don't come here, Rich? Because they can't argue with me. I make too much sense for them. I know how to behave. I'm a chameleon. I can come on your panel and argue with all of them and do it respectfully. We've caught, you know, Liddell was asleep in his cruiser. You guys are still holding on to that. The medical examiner actually said that David can only live a maximum of 9 minutes. Then when I showed you, no, that's not what she said. She said you can't tell. Then you say, well, you take this minute and that minute and you round it up to this and you flip that over and you go back to this minute and you take 4 and divide it by 7. No, that is not what the medical examiner said. You're not a private investigator, Rich, and I challenge you on that to prove it. And lots of people are watching. They're watching you dodge this question.